Good morning. Good morning. For at least one day, work was much better. I'm not counting on anything for tonight whatsoever. It has it will consistently be back and forth. There is no doubt about that. But today we are back at the original time, and we've got some stuff to go over. I am beaming with joy as my team finally made just made a trade. Gosh darn, made a trade. Made one that cost more than a 5th or a 6th round pick. It cost us 2 first-round picks. And I tell you what, I love it. I love it. So let's open up with the trades yesterday. I wanted to do a short last night. I thought about doing it, and then I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just save it. Wait for the podcast. So here is my initial view of the biggest trade, which I believe is the Sauce Gardner trade. Okay. The reality is, the Colts just put everything basically into this year. Now, I want to kind of dissect everything here because there have been a lot of different grades given out for this trade. And how I look at this trade is definitely two-sided. I am aware that we got Sauce Gardner. Big J and I talked last night. Big J is absolutely thrilled. He's pumped. I am the realist. And that doesn't work great when you're a fan because you constantly look at what the facts are behind the move. So what are the facts of this trade between the Jets and the Colts? Fact number one, the Colts are Super Bowl or bust this year. They are Super Bowl or bust. The Jets signed Sauce Gardner to a 4-year, $120 million contract. $30 million a year. The Indianapolis Colts are only paying a prorated $1.5 million of that this year. At his best, Sauce Gardner is one of the top 5 corners in the NFL. At his best. At his worst, he looks lost. Absolutely lost. Penalties, just really bad play. Lots of questionable decisions. But they get a corner with the potential to change the defense. Now, here's what the reality is. You gave up 2 first-round picks for this guy. 2 first-round picks. And I want to contrast this with another trade the Jets made. The Jets traded later in the day Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2nd-round pick and a 1st. There is a lot to be said for what the Jets got this trade deadline. I just want to play out the next 2 years for you. Okay? I'm going to say this out loud and tell me if you would love to have this for your team. 2026, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. 2027, 3 first-round picks. The capital that the Jets received outdid the players that they gave up. And I want to talk about the players that they received because I'm afraid what's going to happen is in a lot of these conversations, The two players they got in these trades are going to get overlooked. Adonai Mitchell now has an opportunity to be a number 2 receiver with the Jets. Does he have that potential? Does he have that ability? Well, guess what? We're about to find out. And I do, even though I didn't like him here in Indy, I don't like his attitude, he fits New York. And I think he's going to fit the team. So the Colts trade a receiver who will now be a starter to the Jets and 2 first-round picks. The Cowboys traded for a 28-year-old defensive lineman, traded Mozzie Smith, who I have equated to just your run-of-the-mill 4-3 defensive tackle, the second defensive tackle on the defensive line. He plays, he starts. You're not trying to get a bunch out of him. He may have a flash play here and there. He's just your starter. That's it. And you got a second round and a first round pick. Pretty impressive. Really impressive. And I will be honest, the way that those things played out was great. The Jets, I believe, won both of those trades. I believe the Jets won the trade deadline day for even more reasons than that, because the Jets, at the end of the day, made a trade, a 2028 conditional 7th round pick. They got Ja'Sir Taylor from the Chargers. He's a free agent. The Jets are basically going to try to re-sign him, a young corner, but they traded away Michael Carter, remember, to the Eagles. So they had a hole open up. I believe the Jets won yesterday, hands down. I'm going to give the Colts a B ranking for that trade. I have seen a lot of D's, and it's only because you're giving away the future of the team, and if this is a one-year wonder, you have nothing in 2027. And I get those apprehensions. I fully do. But I so want to believe that after Carly made Chris Ballard finally do something as a general manager, that they'll figure out the money. But here's the difference. The money is what they are not used to having to manage. Cam Bynum is tied up for the next 3 years with the Colts. Sauce Gardner is tied up for the next 3 years with the Colts. Charvarius Ward is there. Kenny Moore was overpaid. I believe he still has another year after this year. Grover Stewart, this is the final year of his contract. He better be gone because we have to re-sign Daniel Jones. And make no mistake, it will take $40 to $45 million a year to keep Daniel Jones. So you're not keeping everybody on the defense. They got to pay Alec Pierce. They traded Adonai Mitchell away. You still got Pierce. You either got to let him walk or pay him this year. I don't like where the Colts are financially. I do love where they are trying to go for a Super Bowl. If they can use the momentum, if they can keep grinding, if they can keep going forward, I love their position. But there's a reality to this. And the reality is you traded a lot of future for a chance at now. And I'm okay with trading a first-round pick. One year. Taking a risk. Traded 2. It's hard because the excitement, I was so high, and then the reality came in, and I'm just like, wow. We got to win the Super Bowl this year. Colts just have to win the Super Bowl this year. All right, so we've gone over that. We'll go over, let's close out the Cowboys trade. Quinnen Williams for Mozzie Smith, a 2026 second-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick. The Jets won the trade, hands down. The Cowboys did make a couple moves. They got Logan Wilson from the Bengals and Quinnen Williams from the Jets. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make this year. I'll be honest with you. I really don't know how much of a difference it will make this year. But I am excited to see how this plays out. I like Quinnen Williams next to Kenny Clark. See what happens. The one smart thing Jerry Jones did was he didn't get rid of any of his first-round picks for this year. So that was smart. That one was smart. And I like how that was. And under the radar trade, I believe, is going to be this one. Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks for a 2026 4th and 5th round pick. I don't think either team wins this trade. I think it works perfectly for both. Why? The Seahawks get another speed guy to go with Smith and Jigma. Shaheed, very good running downfield, great on go routes, great on deep dig routes, has a lot of ability with his feet. Injury issues are definitely there, but here's why the Seahawks still win this trade and the Saints win this trade. Because the Saints got 2 picks out of this, 4th and 5th. The Seahawks were able to avoid having to give up a 3rd. So you still have your first 3 picks. And it is big. And that was not the only move that they made. The other move, they traded tackle Trevor Penning to the Chargers for a 2027 6th round pick. The reality is, with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater out, the Chargers needed this position to be filled. The Saints came in, gave them the player, got a pick, and they get 3 picks for 2 players, which works. That math always checks out. And it was a very well done day by just the all-around effort from the New Orleans Saints. I thought they could have done more, but they didn't. All right, a trade that's really basically simple across the board. I said yesterday before we got off on the podcast, Hurricane Dio, torn ACL for the Bears. The Bears went and got another pass rusher. Joe Tryon from the Browns. The Bears get a 7th round pick and Tryon for a 6th round pick. Both teams want it. Straight up, necessity, need, move on. All right. Another trade that I believe is going to be under the radar. The Las Vegas Raiders traded Jacoby Myers. We talked about this yesterday, but I want to break this down a little bit more real fast. The Raiders get a 2026 4th and 6th round pick. This will give Brian Thomas the chance to be the 1. Jacoby will be the 2. And Travis Hunter, when healthy, will actually be the slot. That's what I believe will happen as of right now. He will actually be the slot. This, I believe, gives the Jaguars a very big advantage as they continue to move forward. Very big advantage. And I believe it creates the flexibility that this team needs to be able to move forward. Absolutely love this deal. All right. Another AFC team we touched on yesterday, Draymond Jones, traded to the Ravens from the Titans for a conditional 2026 5th round pick. Earlier in the week, Jalen Phillips, 3rd-round pick. That's all it took to get him from the Dolphins. A player that I am surprised did not get moved is Bradley Chubb. I really thought he would get moved. He did not move. Trey Hendrickson did not move. I thought, so there are 3 teams that I really thought were going to make moves. 3. And kind of frustrated that they didn't. The number 1 team I really thought would make a move or make more moves is Buffalo. Michael Hoyt went out for the year with an injury. On defense, I don't know if they can survive in December and January. Offensively, they're okay. I don't know if defensively they will be able to hold up. That is my question. Ed Oliver, if he is out, you're done. I would have tried to get another defensive tackle, just a defensive lineman in general, to just be able to potentially solidify that line. Just solidify. And with the way that is, I just can't believe they didn't make a move. Another team I can't believe didn't make a move is the San Francisco 49ers. I thought going to the Saints for Willie Gay would have been a perfect move for them. I really did. They need linebacker help. I thought it was a great fit for them. Veteran, well coached, and they didn't do anything. The 49ers are fighting for the top of the NFC West. They made no moves to get better. The Seahawks did. The Rams did in getting Roger McCreary in the back defensive backfield. But the 49ers sat dormant yesterday. And I was really, really confused as to why. I don't understand why they did. Just don't understand it. So there's that. There's that. I am anxious to see who starts requesting their outright release. That is what we need to watch in the next week to week and a half. Who wants their outright release? Does Bradley Chubb just get an outright release? Does Chubb get waived so that another team can come get him? A couple of trade targets that I know what each team was wanting. Number 1, Jermaine Johnson for the New York Jets, outstanding edge rusher. They wanted a 2nd-round pick for him. I would have taken that in a heartbeat. Kid is young, plays hard, great motor, and it sucks. It sucks. And the way that, well, how do I want to go about this? Hang on. Let me think about this. So, I really thought the 49ers were going to have to go all in because their schedule is relatively easy. And they've got W's on the board. And their defense is a liability. Buffalo beats Kansas City. Defense gets injured again. The defense is a liability. Atlanta, which is the 3rd team that I believe should have been making a move because they're now sitting 2 games below 500, looking up at the Panthers, fighting with the Buccaneers. I believe they should have made a move. And they didn't. And I'm sitting here wondering why. The Packers are running with Luke Musgrave. I said go try to get Chiga Conquero or Juwan Johnson. They didn't do it. The Cardinals, this happened yesterday. I told you this yesterday. This was going to happen, and now there is no turning back for Gannon. Jacoby Brissett is going to start the next game for the Seahawks. Kyler Murray is healthy. Do not believe it. Kyler Murray is healthy. He has been cleared to play. They are not playing him. And they didn't trade him. If you're not going to play him, fine. But you should have traded him. Get him out. Teams would have taken him. Go. Another guy that didn't end up moving was Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals wanted a first-round pick. I kind of get it, but what if it was a future first-round pick and a player? Dude, that's why the Jets could win this trade easily. If Mazi Smith starts 50 games for them over the next 5 years, 4 years, do 4 years, okay? The reality is that player is productive. If Adonai Mitchell grows into a number 2 receiver, that player's productive, and they still have all the draft capital. The 2 first-round picks, the second-round pick and the first-round pick. 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick for 2 players. They reset the Jets. This is what I think is going to happen. The owner and the coach are on the same wavelength. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn's cohort, has an offense in Chicago. They built it up correctly. And I believe this was their chance to flip over where they were spending their money. The Los Angeles Rams have a very heavy offense. Pay and everything is big in the offense. Age, experience, veterans, offense. Defense, all rookies. They've built the defense up through the continual drafts. They're not paying the defense yet. When they start doing that, it's going to flip. Defense is going to be expensive, and the offense is going to be relatively cheap with your new quarterback. They're going to build around the new quarterback. Same thing here. I really, really want to say Green Bay as far as opportunities to get to the Super Bowl and as far as chances, but Green Bay has been basically stuttering. So the 49ers are sitting there. They need to get in. Green Bay's stuttering. Detroit just lost to Minnesota. Chicago's sitting there. Aaron Glenn is looking at all these teams going, offensively, it's better. Offensively, we need to go after players. Your coach that you came from under, hard nose, run the ball, offense. We got a star on defense, but it's offense. It's offense. And the Jets have a chance to flip it. And I think it is fantastic. Do I fully believe in the GM? I don't know. I don't know if I fully believe in the GM. But I do like what they are trying to do. They're going to spend the money on the offense. They're going to spend the money where the money needs to be put right now. Draft the offense. Pay for the offense. Get an offensive line. You now have Mike Vrabel with Drake May and Josh McDaniels with Josh Allen in your own division. Good luck winning it. Good luck. You're not going to win it with Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams when you have no offense. So I like the moves for the Jets. The Bengals were really smart. They got a 7th-round pick out of a guy that, had already lost his starting job anyway. You got a draft pick out of him. Congratulations. Saints make 2 moves. They get draft picks. Congratulations. Perfect. I mean, I thought that was really, really good. All right, let's get to Hawks locks for the week. Let's do college football first. We do have the college football rankings that came out. IU is number 2, and the committee is not stupid. They are not just running off of the AP poll, which is basically just a glorified, AP poll is partially fake. They do end up having a lot of favoritism. But the new college football rankings, which is now what all of the rankings in the matchups are going off of, does give us some big top 25 matchups. So, Hawks locks for the week. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. And I'm going to take IU to cover on the road, mainly because I believe in what's going on with Curt Cignetti. Even if they come out a little flat, I believe Curt will get them turned around. I could see this being a 41-20 game. I really could. The spread's at 15.5. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over 15.5. Why? I believe the Indiana Hoosiers are still working through everything, and I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win handily because they can taste the opportunity of a Big Ten championship. All right, my second Hawks lock. Georgia is favored by 8.5 points at Mississippi State. Mississippi State has almost beat 4 SEC teams already. And listen, they're going to break through eventually. Georgia should have lost to Florida last week. Do I believe it was an eye-opener? No. I think they walk into Starkville, Mississippi. Mississippi State is ready for them. They're not a bad team. They may not have the same skill position players, but they are ready to go. Mississippi State, I'm hesitant to go win, but I'm going to say covers the 8.5. Another cover, I believe, is going to be BYU. I don't get this line. BYU is an underdog by 10.5 points in Lubbock, Texas, to Texas Tech. I could understand a 5.5 point line. I really could. I don't understand the 10.5 line. So I'm going to go with BYU to cover. Watch for them to win. BYU is still undefeated. Don't sleep on BYU here. I think BYU covers that 10.5 point spread relatively easily. And then another one that I'm going to say, Notre Dame 25.5 point favorites over Navy. I'm rocking Navy all day long with that spread. 25.5. Navy can score points. Navy looks a little bit bigger. Quarterback looks different. I think they can score. I really do. I think they can score. So in college football, I've got IU plus 15.5. Covering the 15.5. I've got Mississippi State making the 8.5 point underdogs bark really, really loud. I think the BYU Cougars are a lot closer than 10.5, and I think Navy is closer than 25.5 with Notre Dame. Now, when we look in the NFL here on a Wednesday, I am going to lock in Buffalo. Why? Because I feel like with the trades, with the way the deadline went, I believe that Miami is ready to fold. I don't think they're ready to play hard football. I don't have any inkling that this is going to go over well whatsoever. And that's kind of my feeling on what's going on. Another game that I think we really have to watch is going to be the second Fox game that's on. The Lions are 8.5 point favorites against the Commanders. They just got beat. And I don't think they're going to do anything less than come out on fire against the Commanders. The Commanders' defense is atrocious. It's not good. In fact, it's worse than worse. It's letting up a bunch of yards, a bunch of big plays. Marshawn Lattimore is now out. I will say this doesn't look good for the Commanders. And I am not rushing Jaden Daniels back whatsoever. I'm just not. There's no reason to. So I'm going with the Lions, 8.5-point favorites over the Commanders. Cover the spread. All right. We need to go with an underdog. I always have to go with an underdog. If I don't, something's just going to look wrong. Well, I'm doing something I don't normally do. I'm going to take the Falcons plus 6.5. Not to win, but to cover. Why? It's in Germany. Just be honest. It's in Germany. Those games are always so close. It could easily come down to it easily could just come down to a field goal at the end of the game. It really could. No doubt about it. So I'm going to take the Falcons at the plus 6.5. I'm going to take the Bills to cover the 9.5. And then I'm going to take the Lions to cover the 8.5. Those are going to be my Hawks locks for the week. I like it. All right, let's go elsewhere in sports real fast. In the Basketball Association last night, the Toronto Raptors beat the Milwaukee Bucks 128-100. The Atlanta Hawks beat the Orlando Magic 127-112. The Chicago Bulls made a stellar comeback from 24 points down, beating the Philadelphia 76ers 113-111. The Pelicans are going to lose Zion Williamson for a week, hamstring injury. They get the W over the Charlotte Hornets 116-112. Golden State beats Phoenix 118-107. And then SGA and the Thunder continue to be rolling along. They beat the Clippers 126-107. Now let's get to hockey, because hockey was exciting once again. Just check out what happened last night. Here we go. In overtime, the Utah Mammoth beat the Buffalo Sabres 2-1. In a shootout, the Philadelphia Flyers beat the Montreal Canadiens 5-4. In another shootout, the Boston Bruins beat the New York Islanders 4-3. A boring, normal, ho-hum, run-of-the-mill game. The Carolina Hurricanes beat the New York Rangers 3-0. And then we had Edmonton and Dallas getting back on the train. Dallas beating them in a shootout 4-3. The Minnesota Wild beat the Nashville Predators 3-2 in overtime. And then the Colorado Avalanche beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2. Vegas blanked the Detroit Red Wings, and it was a good thing because they only scored one goal. 1-0 Vegas over Detroit. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks scored 7 goals against the Florida Panthers, beating them 7-3. The Kings blanked the Winnipeg Jets 3-0. And that is hockey. Dude, I love this. Hockey does not fail to absolutely excite, and it's my favorite. All right, some baseball news. Yu Darvish is officially out for the entire 2026 season after having UCL surgery. That ain't good. That ain't good at all. And, oh well. All right. So let's see here. 9:40. I am tired, guys. Nights are still really, really long. Sorry if I was a little bit off. Sorry if I kind of went off on rabbit trails a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Tomorrow we'll do the fantasy outlook. Hopefully I feel a little bit more awake. It's been a rough week. I didn't work 13 hours last night, but I still worked a lot of hours last night. This week is definitely just going to be a rough one. But I appreciate you guys bearing with it as we just try to get through this week and maybe next week a little bit, but mostly getting through this week. And I don't want to go off on anything else and potentially not make a whole lot of sense. because I do like to stick behind what I say on the podcast. So we're going to leave it at that today. 40-minute podcast. Don't just don't want to ruin anything. I love the podcast, and I like being able to be real with what I say what I mean, and then back it up. So tomorrow we'll do the fantasy football update in the league. We'll go over some of the previews, and we'll do a couple other things like we normally do on a Thursday. I do want to close with this. Thoughts and prayers go out to those that are affected, whether directly or indirectly, from the plane crash in Louisville, Kentucky. My job, where we it's a trucking company. We had routes that went down to Louisville after the crash yesterday. Actually, one of our Louisville crossdock was inside the radius that they set up, wanting to evacuate or to stay indoors because of the smoke and everything else from the crash. From what I have read, I try to be really careful. I don't want any fake news. So if this is, I apologize. But from what I have read, there are deaths. It was only a crew of 3 people, which is normal on planes like that. But there are civilian deaths that happened from the explosion with the plane crash. Looking at the helicopter images, kind of leery, not gonna lie. I live close-ish to an airport, and just thinking about something like that happening was just kind of leery. We won't know for 6 months to a year probably what the investigation reveals, but thoughts and prayers go out to those people and families that are affected by this unfortunate event. We'll find out whether there was something that happened in the engine, whether it was sabotaged, whatever it may be. But right now, thoughts and prayers to the families. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me today. I appreciate you guys hanging out and toughing it out with me, and we'll get through this week. Three days down, 2 days to go. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. As always, I deeply appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast with a friend, help the channel grow. Thank you ever so much. For Sports Talk with Hawk on this beautiful Wednesday morning, I am Hawk, and I'm out. Have a great day.